Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting up here real quick. We're here with Joey Saldana, driver of the 12N car or something. Is it N? 12N?
Yes, sir.
12N car. Now, a lot of people recently, Joey Saldana just popped up on the radar. You had the Kings roll happen. You look real good. The motor deal, obviously, that happened for you there. But still ran well when it came down to it. Luckily, that shows a one-day qualifier style deal. And now you're outside Poole. Joey Saldana is at a nice race. Talk about this. What's been going on? What has Joey Saldana been doing? A lot of people are like, wow, out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, for myself, I've been kind of focused more on my kids. And it just seems like if you're going to devote yourself to sprint car racing, for me, you have to either give 110% or you're going to do it. And I just felt like I hadn't been given 110%, so I needed to do something that I enjoy doing, and that's being with my family and racing with my son. So I've been doing that, hanging out with my dad a lot more. My dad and me are involved in some rental buildings, and we're building a new building right now. And just a lot of things going on besides racing, and just trying to focus more on my family and doing things for my future. I've been blessed with 18 awesome years of World of Outlaws, and just times have changed, priorities change, and just things you want in life change. So I got an opportunity to drive this car a few races. We went to Eldora for the Kings Royal. We made all 3 nights. We did have motor issues, but nothing that Charlie and James did wrong. It was part failures. They fixed it and got us back out for Saturday for the Royal and put it in the show. Ran 11th. The car was definitely way better than me, and I think it showed last night too. My car was really, really good last night. It's the first time they ran this car with a 360. It's our 4th race together, their 4th race of the year. So come out here and put on the front row for this race, this event. I think they've done everything right in their department on the car, the engine, and now it's just up to the driver.
So basically what you're saying is your kind of absence from the sport is by choice there for a little bit.
Oh, definitely by choice. I don't, obviously the World of Outlaw rides are slim and hard. You definitely have to have a lot of money. You have to have money, involved somehow, some capacity with the team if you're even going to have a shot at it. And I don't have that. I've always been a guy. I'm an old school guy like my father. Bring your helmet, you go race. If you're good enough, you get the job. If you're not good enough, you go home. And I've never really been on trying to go out and sell myself and do things like that to say I'm better than I am. I've probably been my worst critic, and definitely harder on myself. And for me, if your heart's not in it, then the rides aren't going to be there. You got to give them 110%. At least I always had to. I never felt like I was, a Donnie Shots caliber guy. I felt like I always had to work really hard on myself to get better, and that's a huge commitment if you want to run the Outlaws full time. And I think I've been slacking on that. I think I've been, just other things going on in my mind. The last year I had the World of Outlaws was 2016 with Dennis Roth. We won 6 races that year, ran 5th in the points, and I got fired. That's kind of disheartening as a driver. And to me, first year with a team, you win 6 races, you run 5th in the points. That's not too shabby with them guys. And you get fired. And I think you just kind of lose your heart and your desire. In the last few years, I've just had other priorities. So that's kind of where I've been.
Well, and you mentioned the whole get a ride deal. It seems like back in the early 90s to late 80s, kind of when you started getting on the scene, even mid-90s, you kind of got rides based on talent. I talked with this about Sammy a little bit. The rent-a-ride situation is somewhat new, where guys are buying top rides, and you see in the sport, talent really doesn't go away with age. Look at you, obviously. You're able to get out here and run with guys right off the bat. It's a talent deal. It's a natural ability. How much does the rent-a-ride scene affect a guy like you're saying old school style, where you believe, get a ride based on what you can do on the track, more so than what you're bringing to the table?
There's nothing against kids that are capable to do that if you can back it up. I think that's the biggest thing. My whole life, you race with Steve Kinzer and Carl Kinzer, Mark Kinzer's driver Carl, they walk around with a cockiness and a confidence, but they back it up. They deserve that. They've earned that right. A lot of people, they don't have earned that right. They just have money, so they're out here throwing their money around to get to race. And there's a lot of guys besides me. I'm not referring to Joey Saldana.
No,
I said, I definitely, I've been blessed with a great career, and but I mean, there's a lot of guys out here besides me that have just as much talent as Joey Saldana or Donnie Shots or Kyle Larson or whoever, but you're never gonna see it because they don't have the backing, they don't have the support, and that's one of the, that's one of the downfalls with motorsports. I mean, it costs a lot of money to do this stuff, and it's not getting cheaper, and a lot of talented drivers will never get seen because they don't have the backing. It's sad. So luckily I was right there before the transition really happened, and I was able to make a career out of it and didn't have to buy my way. But I applaud these kids that can do it and back it up. I mean, and there's kids out there that are talented that can, fulfill whatever their dad's paying or whoever they get to sponsor their cars. And if it's my son, hell yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll do whatever I can to get my son the ability and the equipment to race in first class rides. But I'm also the old school that I'm not going to fund your life for you. My father, when I started, gave me 4 years of racing on a sprint car level, not an outlaw level. And when the 4 years are over, it was time to go find a ride. And that's what happened with me. My 5th year, I got my first ride. I've been driving for people ever since. And my dad viewed it as my college. You go to college for 4 years, you want to race for 4 years. And that's how we addressed it. Maybe a lot of that should happen more, and then, it might weed out some of the talent. I don't know. But I've been blessed my whole life. I had a great mentor, my father, that raced for 25 years, and it's definitely, paved that path for me.
Well, and like you said, there are some people who can't afford it, but there's some guys who can afford it that are really good too. That just ain't ever, they're going to be stuck in a 305 or something like that because that's all they got. Right. Health of the sport. Seemed like a guy was able to get a ride then more so because it paid compared to how much the car was costing and all that. The payouts were a little bit better as far as the gap between cost to play, cost to win. Seems like that really ain't went up. Kings Royal was like the first guy to or first show to really, Knoxville obviously has done it, some other shows, but it seems like the payouts need to go up a little bit more across the board.
Yeah, I mean, in any motorsports you're going to see that. I mean, these cars are so expensive. The only thing I hated about Eldora, I mean, I wish I was Brad Sweet and won $175 grand, but I mean, when it's $175 grand to win and 50 for second, that's kind of a slap in the face. Granted, it's the best paid sprint car race in the history, but Knoxville 75 for second, 35 for third. It's definitely the pay here is definitely responds to the cost of these cars. You can actually come to the Knoxville Nationals and not have a stellar week, but yet make decent money. So you have to applaud them for the effort in paying everybody, not just the winner. But I'm sure the Kings Royal, that's a start. It's going to keep getting better. Tony Stewart's done a lot. Just to do what he did to make it $175,000, he knows that. He drives his own car. He has his own teams. He knows what it takes to get these cars up and down the road. So, I'm sure everybody knows what we need to do to fix it. People are going to try to do that. If they can't, they can't. I mean, it's always been a problem with motorsports from day one. It's got a motor in it and it costs a lot of money. It just escalates year after year and it never seems to come down. But that's the Achilles heel of sprint car racing.
Well, I do think a good way to move into making the sport, put drivers who are going to win in the car, is getting winning matter more like it used to. That's kind of the solution, because it seems like a lot of people rent them out because that's an easy way to make some money.
It's the only way you can do it. It's like, you got to have money, you got to put tires, you got to have motels, diesel, health. I mean, it adds up and it's expensive. So I think some of the owners look at it as well. We got to pay the bills when we want to be on the road, and we want to so we'll just sell out and get some money. But yes, then the talent isn't there. I'm not the owner. I don't know how to fix it, so I don't know.
Relevance of the sport. It was really good in the 80s. You saw it on ABC all the time. 90s, NASCAR kind of took over the racing scene and kind of pushed everything to the wayside. Some people call this nowadays the trolley machine, high school or something. Ignorant to the sport, really, because this ain't no high school behind us. What do you think do you think it would be a big deal to get sprint car racing known as a top level form, not a second rate? Or
I do not. I mean, this is what it is. This is high dollar grassroots racing. It's going to be that way forever. Everybody needs TV, and it needs this, and it needs that. It's a stepping stone. That's all it is. It's a stepping stone, but you can actually make a living at it if you can do it at the outlaw level. It's never been that way. When my dad started racing, it was, you ran a midget, a sprint car, a champ car, and you went to the Indy car. Obviously, them days are over, and it's kind of escalated. You can actually make a career out of racing these cars on dirt, and it's always going to be that way. It's never going to be the prime sport. It definitely has a lot of interest. A lot of people are involved now, so that brings a lot of interest to the sport, but I don't think it's ever going to be a prime time in an event like a NASCAR or an Indy car. It just can't be because of what it is. It's kind of like hockey. I love hockey. Hockey sucks on TV, but it's awesome to watch in person, and that's sprint car racing on dirt. TV sucks. You got to be there in person to really appreciate what's going on the racetrack.
Well, I think if you watch a sprint car race on TV, it's better than a NASCAR race on TV. I mean, no comparison there. I think this could be just as big. I know you don't, but at one point
it's just so hard to really on TV they focus so much on what's up front, but in sprint car racing, man, there could be a guy busting his ass from 20th to 5th, and you're never going to see that on TV, and TV's never going to be able to allow you to see that. So I mean, what goes on in dirt track racing, transition in the lanes changing, you can't correlate that to TV. Oh, I totally agree with you. Yeah, NASCAR I'm not a fan. I would much rather watch sprint car races on TV, but the thing is, it just doesn't work for some reason. We've tried it.
And it was going on, like I was referencing, 80s, ABC, ESPN.
Well, my dad used to race back in the 80s, 70s, Wide World of Sports, CBS,
exactly.
Live. I mean,
crazy.
It's actually gone backwards if you want to look at it that way. I mean, my dad was winning races back in the 70s, 30, 40, 50,000 a win. Today, that'd be like 200 grand.
Well, that's what I reference. I reference the history of the sport a lot to try to say this is what it used to be. Yeah. It did kind of digress in a changing period. In my opinion, the sprint car fan base kind of stopped celebrating Kensers and Swindells. They started celebrating the Gordons and the transitional drivers, or the co-trickles, as I call them, a joke. It became more important for the sprint car fan base to celebrate those guys beating asphalt guys more so than our own guys on dirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know the answer. I mean, if I was a driver though, and I got the opportunity to go to that level and make the money they're making, you'd have to do it. It's like winning a lottery ticket. Granted, I'm sure as a driver, you don't see Jeff Gordon here or whatever, but I think he probably, Stenhouse, Casey, all these guys, Tony, they'll tell you that this is the most exciting racing there is. But they have to play on Sunday, or do their job on Sunday so they can play on Friday and Saturday.
Well, and it's
that's just the way it is.
Well, and you reference how it used to be different. Guys used to make a lot of money in network TV. I do think the Kings Royal broadcast was amazing. I don't know if you've seen the Gateway Dirt Nationals when they do it. I mean, it looks like a USC, so it may be just coming around. The people in the sport actually control it.
I'm sure the way you produce it, the production company, and how everything's perceived through TV is always going to get better, and I'm sure they realize that. I'm just saying that what I've seen through the past, it's never got the excitement that it ever does when it's in person. And to me, hockey's the same way. I love hockey, but I really have a hard time watching it on TV. I'd much rather be at the Blue Stadium watching it play hockey. But
well, when we were talking about renter rides earlier, you were mentioning about the money in NASCAR. It was $30 to $120 grand to rent a truck at the truck race, and it was $25,000 to win. You got to think about it. Some of these big late model races, because late model racing, they have big shows all the time. When you're getting 50 or 100,000, that's just about as much or the same or more than Xfinity and truck races out there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't explain it. I think a lot of people will spend it just hoping they get enough exposure that they can get that ride, or they can go to that next level. I mean, but like I said, if it was me and the opportunity was there, I mean, you have to take it. It's a shame that it's come to that.
Right.
Guys have to go to that level to even be able to
make money racing.
Make great racing and show their talents. And I don't foresee it changing because I don't see the cost of these cars changing.
Well, exposure would help. If the world knew more, I'm sure you've experienced the relevance issue where people have never heard of the sprint car before. I know if you go out in the regular world, it's oblivious. If that was to change and people heard about the cars, you could have seats around this whole place, and this race is paying $1 million to win. You know, if the money's coming in, it can go back out. That's kind of how it worked back in the day. We had a lot of fans at every track, standing room only. Have a lot of money coming in that goes to the purse in the back, you know. So that's how I see it happening. It just needs to get in the eyes of people. I swear, if they saw a 140-mile-an-hour sprint car throwing sliders, they would be a fan of it. They just ain't seen it.
I totally agree. I mean, I agree with that. You got to get people exposed to it, but that's hard to do, especially when you got NBA, baseball. You know, you got so much going on that people can go do besides racing. It's hard to get them to want to get away from what they love. Not everybody has to love sprint car racing on dirt. I don't see how you can.
Well, I mean, the NASCAR deal is somewhat why I blame a lack of fans of racing in America, because the NASCAR racing is kind of the pro example of racing. So a regular person who don't like NASCAR, they don't just say NASCAR sucks like me and you. They say racing sucks.
As a whole.
As a whole, because it represents the sport. And when, as like you were saying, when your dad raced, it was, you know, Trans Am racing, Indy car, sprint car, champ car. It was all different, a variety of things that people saw. Anyway, you're outside pole. What's the projection? You got the guy starting on the inside of you right behind here, James McFadden. He was quick.
Yeah.
You were fast. Track's probably going to widen out a little bit more tonight. What do you think?
I think the biggest thing is we definitely have the car, we have the motor, we have everything in place to race with these guys. We just got to put 25 flawless laps down, and if we can do that, I have no issue with knowing that I can win this race. Just got to do our parts, and I think we can do it.
What's some of the little differences you noticed already in this car going from the 410 to the 360? Obviously two different tracks, but you got to feel the weight transfer a little different.
You know, honestly, I haven't really felt much difference between the two. Just speed, obviously. These are quite a bit slower, but I think the biggest thing is just, as a driver, just hitting your marks and being perfect. You know, you make a little mistake with a 360, it seems like you lose a ton of ground. With 410, you can kind of like recover a little bit faster. With these, it's like, man, you think you're racing it high, and you know, you hit the berm a little bit, and you miss the corner, and it's like, wow, it takes you 5 laps to do that, but then the race is over. So, just gotta make sure I don't make a mistake when I'm in position, because if I do, I'm probably gonna pay the price. So just hope I don't do anything dumb. Learn from last night, and come out with a good showing.
Is that going to make this race a little more difficult than the 410 because of the lack of mistakes you can make?
No, I mean, I think with the quality of guys you have to race with, 410s, 310s, it doesn't matter. I mean, these are going to be the same group of guys really I feel to rise to the top for the 410 races. And obviously you got your outlaw guys coming in, but it's going to be the same group of guys I feel, you know, the cream always rises to the top. And I feel like if I can put my in position with these guys, then I think I'll have a good showing with the 410s.
What do you got left for the rest of the year? What do you got? What's your plan? This is it. This week, next week?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're gonna run Knoxville next week, and you know, if everything goes well, I don't know. Maybe we would run Eldora at the end of the year, maybe Charlotte. So I don't know, 2, 4, 5 races if that. If not, I'm fine with that.
And you said your kid's running micro? What?
Yeah, my son races micro, and my youngest son races outlaw car. We're getting him a junior sprint to move up to the micros.
Where at? What area?
We run in northern Indiana at like Peru and Logansport, US 24.
Circuit City.
Yep.
Yeah, they have some big races up there. Are
they
you ever going to jump in a micro? I mean, there's some big money to be made in these micros now.
Logansport has a big US 24's got an 8,000 win open show next weekend. And I'll be racing here. So.
Okay, so you're already going to try it out.
No, I'll be racing here. So
you'll be racing here.
I'm just saying they have a big show coming up here, but it's against the Knoxville Nationals. So
those micros, they're getting a lot of big money races involved.
Yeah.
What? Real quick before we let you go, what do you think about this Houston situation? Have you heard about it at all? Where the guy's trying to do a $200,000 to enter race? I mean, it's such a great track. I know you've been there, obviously. I'm sure you liked it. It was your. I always pictured Saldana as a short track guy, kind of sling it in there style.
I mean, I think it's. I mean, it's obviously a. I mean, it's a great idea, I guess, but I don't see the amount of money
16 teams willing to throw away 200 grand.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. But I mean, I don't know. Who knows? He's done some crazy stuff, so maybe he can pull it off. I don't know.
Any sponsors who's helping y'all out make this happen?
Well, this car is actually owned by Ed Newmeister, and he has a car that Buddy Coford out of California drives.
Yeah, 11 car.
Out of Ohio. And then the Fishers, James and Charlie, they do all the work, and it's their house car.
Well, thanks for joining us on camera.
Yep.
Good luck. On the Brownsburg Bullet, Joey Saldana. It's all here live on Dirt Track State of Mind.